Kalidasa was a great devotee of Kaali. So in his previous lifetime, he was deeply disappointed that in spite of all his devotion, she did not appear. She did nothing for him. So he died little disappointed with her. After all these lifetimes of wooing, she doesn't respond. So in his present life, where his name was something else, we don't know what his name was, he was born as a little bit of a simpleton. When he was a grown man, he had the mind of an 8-year-old. So generally, when you're 8 years, for who you are, people think you're cute. When you become 18 and still remain the same way, they say you're a bloody fool. Hello? Yes or no? So this happened to him, everybody thought he's the village fool. And the king of the local king who was there, he had a daughter who considered herself very intelligent. Maybe she was. And she wanted to marry an intelligent man. So whoever came to marry her, from many kingdoms, because she can only marry a prince, many of them came and she rejected all of them as fools. She said, they're not fit for me. After not only rejecting these suitors, also insulting them as fools, slowly many kings around this small kingdom became the enemies of this kingdom because they were not only refused, they were called fools by this girl. So the father, facing political and military pressure from all around, he got so mad with the girl and he said, you idiot, the thing is, I must get you married to the worst fool in our kingdom. Only then you will learn your lesson. So he scolded her nicely and told his men to go and find who is the dumbest idiot in our kingdom. Find that guy, I want him to marry my daughter. So they went looking here and there. Then they saw in this village, a young man was sitting on the wrong side of the branch and was cutting the branch. They saw, this can't be any more stupid than this, he's cutting the branch on which he's sitting and when he succeeds, he will fail. So anyway, they caught this guy and took him and said, there can't be a worse fool than this. So he is fit to marry the princess. They got them married forcefully. But the girl took it out on him, every day, every moment insulting him in 1,000 different ways, reviling him in many ways possible. After a few months, even this guy who was very simple-minded, even he felt very insulted because she had a sharp tongue. So one day he left the palace and went away into the forest just to escape the sharpness of her tongue. Then there was an old Kaali temple in the forest. Usually Kaali temples are deep in the jungles because the rituals are of a certain kind which society may not be willing to swallow. The normal society may not be able to digest the type of rituals that happen in the Kaali temples many times. So, always deep in the jungles. So he went into the Kaali temple. You know, to escape one woman, he has to go to another. He went and put his head at her feet and started banging his head, not knowing any prayer or mantra or chant or anything, he just started banging his head at her feet. And his head started bleeding as drops of blood fell on her feet. He had locked himself because he was afraid soldiers will come, find him and again take him back to his wife. Then he heard a voice from outside and it said, "I'm Kaali, I've come, open the door." By now he was so furious that for these lifetimes you did not come. He remembered everything suddenly, he said, "For these lifetimes I prayed, I chanted, I worshipped, you did not come. Now what the hell have you come? I'm not going to open the door." Then Kaali repeatedly called him, "Please open the door." Then just to taunt her, because he's still an 8-year-old boy, he opened the door a crack and put his tongue out toward her. And she struck his tongue. And one who was considered the kingdom's most profound fool suddenly becomes a great scholar who… This is something that's attributed to Kalidasa. Kalidasa is considered in India as, in terms of literature and poetry, greater than Shakespeare. They compare… comparative studies of Kalidasa and Shakespeare exists in India, and many scholars rate him as way above in his language, in his mastery of language, in his understanding and how he expressed himself. Very little of his work is left, unfortunately, but in spite of that, that little work is of phenomenal quality. So suddenly he started composing poetry and literature. Just like that, he could sit in a place and simply recite poetry, not written, simply like that. So his tongue became of such exuberance of quality that he could just recite new verses just like that. One who attains to the grace of the Devi, whatever you're doing in your life, you may be a business person, you may be a professional in something, you may be an artist, a musician, a yogi, whatever you are, if you want to pitch up your activity to another dimension of doing things, you need Devi's grace. One who's touched by this grace will naturally rise in ways that other people will think is miraculous.